Bonjour Pengees, and welcome to Pat Peng's Cast, the show that dives you into the world as I see it. This is season 1, pardon my Parisian, episode 3, pardon my islands. Well yeah, islands and Paris, it's normal, we do have islands in Paris. Haha. And today we're gonna be having a guest as well, and the guest is, well, I'm not gonna tell you, you're gonna discover it in just a second. Stay tuned. Bonjour, and I'm happy to welcome... Hello. This guest is Louis again. If you remember this guy, he was here on episode 1. Hi, Louis.
Hello.
How
everybody.
are you?
Great, and you?
I'm very good. And so happy to host you again, Louis. But before we kick off episode 3, if you don't mind, it's recap time. Just like every week, we're going to have a recap time in the beginning of every episode about the previous episode. So, oh my God. Episode 2, you guys, you rock because it was a hit, really. I'd like to thank Florian, maybe he's the one who brought all of you guys, but he had amazing input on the topic. And I would like also to thank some of you who pointed my attention to additional things later on while listening that might have been said about department stores during the episode. But the thing is, yes, this is how I want this podcast to be, collaborative, which means do not hesitate to participate and tell me what you think we described well or what we have missed. And in the recap, in the following episode, I will try to mention what I have been missed and you will get a shout out. Yay, you'll hear your name. Now, for the little additions on episode 2, Mehdi strikes again this episode with his comments. I feel like he's going to end up behind one of my microphones at some point because it's going to be a lot easier for both of us. Okay, so Mehdi, along with my mom, Rita, hi mom, they both mentioned La Grande Épicerie in Le Bon Marché department store, which is presumably one of the largest food stores in Paris. I totally agree on mentioning it, and why is that? It's because you can find pretty much all the traditional products of the world inside, and most importantly, a huge wine shop for the wine lovers, which I am. Oh, and one last thing about Le Bon Marché, I promise, which is that its clientele is mainly loyal customers, locals from the neighborhoods around, many from the 16th, so upscale neighborhoods. So naturally, it's less flashy, because they don't really like to attract tourists, but it's currently growing financially anyhow, so everything is working well for them. So yeah, as I said, their clientele doesn't go to the Galeries Lafayette, for example, since they don't really like to mix with tourists, knowing that tourists mainly and probably exclusively go to Galeries Lafayette, and a lot of these tourists come from Asia. Then we go back to La Samaritaine department store. Before it was bought and renovated by LVMH, it was not a luxurious department store as it is today, but it was rather popular, which is very difficult to realize when you enter La Samaritaine, to realize that at some point it was really popular and affordable. They had their loyal clients back then, but a lot of other clients, the bougie ones, they stopped going there and were looking for a higher end shopping experience, which put La Samaritaine in difficulty. The renovation cost of this department store was around 750 million euros, which is huge, paid by LVMH. But the good thing is that the renovation kept the traditional style and architecture of the old emblematic building, which made the reopening smoother. Yeah, and one last thing about La Samaritaine, brought to you by Marine. Thank you, Marine. She attracted my attention to the fact that they might not be doing very well financially right now. And it's probably because of the fact that they are located in Châtelet, which is a neighborhood that doesn't really attract a lot of between brackets luxurious population. They're doing some changes right now in order to attract a clientele that is more younger and obviously younger but still capable of purchasing luxurious products. So they are doing these changes. We'll see how it goes. But the problem is, as I said, the fact that, the neighborhood, Le Châtelet, and also the fact that the Asian tourists, they haven't got back yet fully to the city after COVID. So this has a huge impact on all department stores, by the way. Then, nothing much to add to the extravagant Galeries Lafayette, apart from the fact that they also have a food store called Lafayette Gourmet, which makes it, along with the Le Bon Marché, the only 2 department stores in Paris offering these kinds of products, but in a luxurious way. But I still like to go there. It's really nice, so I would recommend. Here you go. The recap has ended. Today, our episode is called Pardon My Islands from the season Pardon My
Districts.
No,
Paris.
That's episode 1 because you were here, so it's understandable. The season is called Pardon My Parisian, and today, episode 3, we're going to discuss the islands, as the title says. And in Paris, there are 2 islands. It's good to know because a lot of visitors don't realize that there are islands on the city. So the islands are called Île de la Cité and Île Saint-Louis, and I would like you guys to have a wild guess of where Louis is living. Where do you live, Louis?
I don't know. Tell me.
I don't know. There are 2 islands in the city, Île de la Cité and Île Saint-Louis. Where do you live?
I guess it's the second one.
Oh, okay. Is it? Okay, so, yeah. And this is not a joke. Louis lives on the Louis Islands. But I want to know, I always wondered if it's just by coincidence or if you always made sure to live on this island for some reason, like that reason that we want to know.
So it's mostly a hazard.
Okay, well.
But it's nice.
Yeah. Good.
To have an island which has my name.
So it's so it's your island.
It's like my island, of course.
Your island. But they should remove Saint from the name if it's
the
your
Louis
island. Yeah, because Saint Louis and you.
Yeah. Not sure what that's supposed to mean.
So, let's start by the first island, which is the Île de la Cité. This is the historical heart of Paris and one of the 2 natural islands in the Seine, because it's, by the way, islands. So it's surrounded by the Seine River. So it's the historical heart of Paris. This is good to know, Île de la Cité. This is where Paris has started and where it started to grow. And it's where the city was founded and holds some of Paris's most iconic landmarks. So one of the most important landmarks, not only of the island, but of the city and of the country and of Europe and of the world, is the landmark called the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is actually undergoing restoration after the fire of 2019, which obviously everybody remembers because it was a worldwide event, a very sad one. I was already in Paris, living here, and were you living in the islands yet or not yet? No, you moved after.
Not yet in the island, in the suburbs of Paris.
Okay, so the thing is that today the cathedral is still undergoing restoration, and it will, I think, last for an additional year or 2 after it's being finalized. And I remember that day when it burst into flames. I was looking at the news and I was like, what do I do? Do I stay home watching the news, or do I just, leave and go watch it live next to the island? And I ended up just going out of my apartment and going to see it because it's, it's not something that you see every day, even though it's a very sad event. But I thought that I have to participate in this event and I have to be there. It was very sad. I remember I was very sad because it was one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites landmarks in Paris. So the square in front of it is also known for its 0.0 marker. So this thing means that starting from this specific place, all the distances in France are traditionally measured. So if you want to go to Lyon, for example, the number of kilometers that are calculated start from this 0.0, which is the square in front of the Notre Dame Cathedral. So this is the the Notre Dame is on the eastern part of the island, because we can consider that the island is separated into 2 parts, the eastern part and the western part. So in the eastern part, you have the Notre Dame Cathedral, and you have also the Marché aux Fleurs, or the flower market, that is not too far from the cathedral. So it's a very nice place to do. It's a very traditional place to go to. So if we move to the western part, what do you recommend to do on the western part?
So on the western part, you have like this square or plaza, which is called the Place Dauphine. And it's a very nice area where there is no car. so it's only pedestrians, and it's like a triangle. And you have like these little benches everywhere. You have like these little restaurants and little cafes all around this triangle. And it's very nice, like especially in the summer, I would recommend it because it does not feel like you are in the city anymore. And it's like the old Paris, but at the same time, like as if it was still like the countryside, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely I recommend to check this place out. And also right by it, there is like the Pont Neuf, which is the oldest bridge of Paris.
By the way, if we translate Pont Neuf in English, it means the new bridge. But
Yes.
But it's the oldest bridge.
Yeah,
Ironically.
because back then it was the first bridge to be made out of stone.
Mhm.
So it was like the new bridge.
Okay.
So you have like this beautiful statue on the bridge, and also right by this statue, like below the statue, you have like this little square with greenery and benches, and also like you can see the river. So this is called Square du Vert Galant.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So definitely recommend to check
These
this.
so two squares, the square Place Dauphine and the square du Vert Galant. So when you say, like, for example, in Place Dauphine, so it's a place where you can go and feel like you're in the countryside, but you can still sit down and enjoy a glass of wine or coffee, or you can still do that.
Yes, you have also these restaurants, and so it can be kind of crowded, especially in the summer and on the weekends. But if you go there during the week, even during the summer, I think it's fine, no?
Okay, good. On the western part of the Île de la Cité, we can also, find what we call La Conciergerie. So La Conciergerie is a former royal palace that was turned into a prison during the French Revolution. And it's also known for being the place where Marie Antoinette was imprisoned. And it's just by the banks of the river, so you can appreciate the view of it if you're on the right bank of the Seine River, which is north, because you will see all the facade right in front of you of La Conciergerie. There's also something called La Sainte-Chapelle on the western part of the city. It has stunning stained glass windows, so I really like it. I also recommend you guys to go and check it out. Nice island. Part of it is touristic, another part of it is not. So it has something to offer to a large range of people. Depends on what is your mood during the day. If we move to the other island, which is the St. Louis Island, or Île Saint-Louis in French, you guys will learn French by the end of this episode if you're not French speakers. So this Île Saint-Louis is located obviously near the Île de la Cité, because the two islands are very close to each other, by the way, and they are located geographically around the center of the city. It's smaller than the Île de la Cité, but it's still known for its iconic streets, historic mansions, charming ambiance. It has it offers a more peaceful atmosphere compared to the bustling city life on the mainland. Now, I don't know how it compares to the Île de la Cité when it comes to a peaceful atmosphere. If it's more peaceful, l'Île Saint-Louis, than the Île de la Cité, or it's more busy. What do you think?
So during the weekdays, there are not that many people. So it's calm, I would say. But during the weekends, it's overcrowded, especially when the sun is there. Yeah. So I would not recommend checking it out during the weekends because it's too many people. But during the weekdays, of course.
Okay. Anyway, whether it's Île de la Cité or Île Saint-Louis, there are still places in the city where Parisians can go and enjoy urban surroundings without the hustle and bustle of the mainland of the city. So this is anyway true in all cases. What is the place that you like the most on the Île Saint-Louis? On a typical day, where do you go and enjoy the view?
So I would say Le Florent Lille, which is like a restaurant and a cafe, because this place, the service is like the best I have seen in Paris so far, and the atmosphere in this restaurant is very beautiful, very Parisian, very historic, And also you can sit by the river. You are like far away from the river, but it's still like by the Seine.
Yeah.
And you can see the views on Notre Dame, and also you can just enjoy the sun. So it's a very nice place, very popular with celebrities, and it's also a filming location for TV series and movies.
Okay, so Le Fleur-en-L'Île. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, and you had another recommendation the other day. You were talking to us about it. What was it called again?
It's called L'Escale. So it's like a small restaurant and cafe, and it's quieter than the other place I mentioned, and generally speaking, than any other place on the island. And so not too many people, not fun. Nobody at all most of the days.
Okay.
So very quiet, but it's still by a bridge, by the river. So it's very nice and very quiet. Just to meet people, it's very nice.
Okay. So as we understood, actually, the Île Saint-Louis is a place in the city where you can enjoy various scenarios, various atmosphere, various ambiances. You can go and sit down and be alone, or practically alone, and enjoy your coffee with a nice view. But you can also walk around and visit art galleries, specialty shops. When it comes to the architecture, it looks like it's a very... what kind of architecture has it? Has on the St. Louis Island? Like more of a 17th century.
All the buildings date from the 17th century.
Okay.
So you're surrounded by historic buildings.
Very elegant.
Yes. Yes, most of them, not all of them. Okay. I will not say not all of them, but at least you're surrounded by historic buildings. So this is all the buildings on the island, and also you have like the most upscale buildings will be the ones which are facing the river.
Okay.
Like on opposite to the ones that are
within the island, like overlooking the center of the island. Yes, I understand. So you can walk around, you can have a leisurely stroll, and it has a lot of beautiful views on the Seine River as well. This is the advantage of being on the island, is that you can be in the middle of the city, on the outskirts of the island, which is in the middle of the city geographically, and enjoy the landmarks of Paris from across the Seine River. So it's a very, very nice stroll, especially when the weather is good. I mean, come on, when the weather is good, we all know that pretty much half of the Parisians go and sit on the banks of the river and enjoy the views. It's really beautiful, especially on sunsets. You prefer living on this island instead of mainland? My first question would be, before asking this question, because, obviously we want to understand why you prefer or why you don't prefer living on this island. What does your typical day look like when you are on St. Louis Island?
So the typical day would be like just work at home, and when needed, heading to the mainland to go to my work, with the commutation system. And then on the weekends, I can stroll the main street, which is in the middle of the island. And I like to meet my friends in these places that I mentioned. And also like checking out some of these little stores which have like really interesting things, especially if you want to make a gift to a person you like. Like I think there are a lot of choices there. At least cute choices, very original choices. And also what I like is when the weather is nice, just to be able to work on either side of the Seine, so either to the north or to the south, easily with the different bridges that connect the island. And so this is very nice,
And that's the reason why you prefer living on the island instead of the mainland? Or what does it give as a benefit, as an extra benefit of living on the mainland?
So the best benefit is being able to travel wherever you want in Paris so easily and also so quickly, because you have so many different commutation system lines that are so close by, like in less than 10 minutes you can just walk there, either if it's in the north or the south or the west or even the east, like everything is super close. So I can just like be anywhere in Paris very easily So this is for me the best location.
Yeah. Anyway, I do notice that when we meet you in Paris, you're always like a maximum of 10 minutes away from your place, and you go back walking. You never take the transportation to go out and to come back home.
Yes. So this is also something which is very practical.
Yep.
So,
well, in all cases, both islands, especially Îles de la Cité, but it's also the other islands, I guess, they hold immense historical and cultural significance in the development of Paris. They attract tourists, but the thing is that they don't only attract tourists like, for example, the Champs-Élysées, as we mentioned in the first episode, or we also mentioned in the first episode, we also mentioned the Latin Quarter. These places only attract tourists. However, the islands, the good thing about them is that they do attract Parisians as well. Parisians who are looking for staying in in a city environment, in an urban environment, while being away from the hustle and bustle of the mainland of the city, while having also serene surroundings. It also has they also have historical landmarks. So it's kind of a place where you can there are still some tourists, obviously, but Parisians can still enjoy. So this is very enjoyable and appreciated by the Parisians. There you go. This marks the end of our episode, which is the Pardon My Islands episode 3. I would like to thank Louis again for being part of it.
Thank you, Patrick.
You would come back?
Maybe.
Okay.
You're nice.
I'll make sure you will. But meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and like the episode on the platform you're listening from, whether it's Anghami, Amazon Music, and when we say Amazon, it's also available on Audible, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Spotify, and YouTube. When we say YouTube, it's also available on YouTube Music, because on YouTube Music, if you close the application, the audio would not stop, just like it does on YouTube, on the regular app of YouTube. So you can use YouTube Music as well. By the way, even if you don't have a paid subscription to one of these platforms, you can still listen to them free of charge on the applications, but you might just have some ads. You can also log to my website, patricksayag.com/patbankscast, and you'll have all the information over there. And also please send me some feedback, whether you agreed or not on what we said today with Louis in this episode, or on the podcast itself. It will be a pleasure to read your comments. See you in 2 weeks, Pengees.